What's up, guys? I just got done in the conversation with Urijah Faber. He got into his family. He gets into his A1 championships. He gets into his new BattleBot thing that he's like rolling with little size wannabe dummies like he does in his team back in the day. So the whole thing rolls together, and we had a great conversation. Make sure you guys tune in. We get along these days.
Dominick, the Dominator!
That is the dark sides of us that don't work, but they work perfectly for war.
You can love somebody and still beat them up.
Oh, look at your dumb face.
Look at our hair.
No haircut, nothing. I was just like, I hate your guts. I'm going to kill you.
That's funny.
Oh, my gosh.
I threw a kick and just barely hit your chin on that one.
That landed a little, and I was like, oh, shit, that was faster than I expect. And I remember thinking, like, man, that right hand was quick. It felt faster in this moment than I could really, than I was used to.
Yeah.
The speed was higher. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I had like some natural speed, but I was obviously pretty raw too, like throwing wild overhands and ducking my head and that kind of stuff. But that one I caught with a little one and I hit with the chin, and this is where you hit. This is like a signature takedown for you. You hit it on me twice, I think.
Yeah, the knee tap.
Yeah,
but I didn't have any jiu-jitsu at all. That's why the plan was not to grapple. We knew your jiu-jitsu was better than mine. I only wrestled. So I had not even a blue belt. I knew nothing how to get out of this. All I got to do now is roll towards your head and come back on the other side. I have no idea. I remember thinking, shit, that's locked in. And I'm stuck. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
Yeah,
that's all I can think right here.
And you're doing a good job of blocking off the shoulder.
That's all I knew how to do, though.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything else.
And as soon as I get my hand in, then
I should have got your hand off my chin immediately.
Yeah.
That's what you need to be doing. And then I tried to flow over, but you had your leg over my back. Perfect technique.
Well, this is the so we have a choke series, a 12-point choke series that has only been out. So every practice, 2 days a week, we do a 12-point choke series where it's basically that, and there's like a bunch of different stuffs. And so that was like one of them.
Whether I wanted to admit it or not, you were pretty much the rocket ship for my career early on. The loss really I
appreciate that.
It lit a fire under my ass losing to you. And so it's only fair. Maybe we get you on the first podcast, and here we are opening up with you.
Yeah, we're winning together now.
Win-win,
which is awesome.
Which is wild. It's a win-win. And that's something I've been really focused on at this stage in my life now, is how instead of making it like wrong and right, and instead of just always trying to win, how do I create a win-win for the people around me? And that's something that's really important to me. And that's where the love aspect of this whole thing comes from. Because naturally for me, I come from...
Yeah, you're a dick.
Kind of a war background. Yeah. I have to work at the other stuff, I have to I have to notice. And I've heard that before, but
I think you said that that's why I feel comfortable saying.
No, yeah, it's I've been that. Some of my friends have said that, and that's something I really, as I've gotten older, I've had to work on it. Because when you were competing against me, Faber, I would say I was really tapped into that, and I kind of cut out every relationship in my life. And there are a couple things that I'll bring up that I would hear from you and be like, how the fuck does he function like that? And for me, it was like, I had a lot of anger. I had a lot of chip on my shoulder, as you know. I had a lot of, I needed to prove to myself. And the only way to do it was with the built up anger and the fear that I had inside from not having my dad around. And that channeled into something great, right? But this stage, I'm more into that whole it's just a different thing. You get older and you realize being that way doesn't work everywhere. It works in fighting only. And it was only working for me to be in that mindset to compete. And so I shut everybody out of my life. I wouldn't even say the word love. I wasn't allowed to think of it. It was just, if you're not helping me win, you're in my way, and I would snowplow through you. You could have been my own mom. I was going to push you out of the way to win, because I come from nothing. I come from a trailer park. My dad's a meth addict in the streets. He's, I pull up to him on a corner, and and I see him there, and
Really?
It's like, yeah. And it's like, there's a lot of things people don't know from my upbringing that fueled me. My dad was like, I grew up in and out of sober living homes with my dad. I would see him every other weekend. He was separate from my mom when I was 5. And that my dad told me when I was 5 years old, he took me in the room while my mom and him were arguing. And he said to yourself, and you have kids so you can appreciate this. He took me in the room and he said, you're the man of the house now. I need you to take care of your brother. I need you to take care of your mom. And anything good that's going to happen is up to you. And I remember thinking like, wow, he trusts me. Like my dad, your dad's your hero.
Yeah.
And he trusted me that he was going to leave and not come back and to take care of my mom
Goosebumps.
and my brother. Because you got kids. So you can see, like, imagine taking your kid and telling them that because he knew he was going to choose to just go out. And to my dad, he was going to be more of a problem to teach me his habits. So it was going to do me, I look back at it now, he was doing me a favor to leave in his head because he didn't want me to have his habits.
You think he was right?
I think everything he did, one of the quotes that I like is, forgive your parents because they're living life for the first time too. And I look at my dad and I think, man, I do think he did me a favor to an extent because he would still see me, but it would be in chunks. Yeah. And that's where I would grow up in these sober living homes where I would be in these sober living homes. They give you a discount on rent when they can stay sober. And so my dad would stay off the drugs for these chunks of time and try to get his sobriety back up. Excuse me. And my whole childhood with my dad was, I wanted my dad. It's okay, Dad. We're going to get you off drugs together. And I got mom and I got my brother. I got him taken care of. Let's just get you off drugs so I can have you back. And so I was always my dad's dad growing up, even as a kid.
That's crazy.
And that really drove me and it pissed me off. And I was going to get my family out of the trenches and there was nothing that was going to stop me. And so that's where I got the mentality of love isn't working, because when I fell in love and then my heart broke, I couldn't handle it, the heartbreak. And it reminded me of losing my dad every time I would have heartbreak, because my dad would come and then leave and then come and then leave. And every time he would go back out and choose drugs over me and my brother, it would shatter my soul. I couldn't handle it. And so when I would fall in love with a girl, I would have that same reminder of my dad, not, without being weird about it. It was like
your attachment.
Right. And it was really toxic. And I didn't know, but I had a lot of toxic traits from that with my dad. I became very, codependent, and I became a lot of weird habits. And love wasn't safe for me. It was never safe. And so I wouldn't allow myself to say it. And the second I started to feel it, I would get more angry and more mad, and I would lock deeper into fighting and shut you out more. Anybody that was around that was loving or wanted relationship or depth with me. And then I get to a point where I get older and you realize that's the juice of life. That's the meat of everything, is that loving thing, that thing that you can share and connect with people, creating a win-win, right? Mm-hmm. I was tapped into it, but didn't know it because I put my family first and I wanted to get them out of the trenches. Yeah. And so I was tapped into a loving mindset, but out of anger. And that's the guy you met. You only met that person. You never saw anybody but the guy that needed to get.
He was pissed.
Yeah, man. And had to get the family out. And I was mad at you because you seemed to have it figured out on the other end.
I got to say,
and it was wild.
Things weren't perfect, but I got to say my parents were friggin' awesome. We were divorced when I was kindergarten, but had very loving, progressively happy and supportive parents. Even though it was obviously, we're in America, things weren't perfect. But anyways, everything you just said just makes me think Dom's going to be an awesome dad. That's the first thing I thought, honestly, which I'm excited for you. Hopefully you go down that road, because that's what I've been doing. And I would say, yeah, you're kind of spot on. And I think we still had some misunderstandings about each other. I remember we had a couple moments where we had some real talks and stuff. And, one was, I had bought my mom a Mercedes, and you took that as I was a rich kid, and
a lot of things.
And we had a conversation, and I said, "Bro, what's
your deal?"
I said, "Bro, what are you talking shit about? I bought my mom that car. I'm not a fucking rich kid." Like that. And you're like, and you said, "Oh, sorry," just misunderstanding. And but we had a lot of good moments. It was like, I was able to be. First off, I enjoyed having an enemy because I didn't have many enemies. I was kind of.
That's
cool
what I
with
was actually telling my friends. I'm like, everybody fucking loves this dude. You're gonna love him too. I guarantee it.
Yeah. So I had I was like, I got an enemy. Fuck, let's run with this. And so I enjoyed that whole process. But I always had a lot of respect. There's a couple moments that, and hearing this even more respect to you, because I didn't know a lot of that stuff about you. I remember, you know, making some comments where you'd kind of like opened up about some things in an article, and then I'd make some comments about it, and I was kind of like digging at stuff. One was about when I think you said your mom kicked you out of the house at one page. Yep. And I said, bro, you didn't get kicked out of the house. You're 19. You're supposed to be out a long time ago or something like that. I was like, you didn't get kicked out.
You're supposed to, you turn into a man, you turd. Like, grow up.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff. And I remember just, having these little moments where I could like get a rise, but, always there was some things that really stood out to me. And I remember, because I'm an introspective guy. I went to human development. I went to school at UC Davis for human development and got to like think about the stuff that you have probably later thought about like earlier, because I was studying it. Like, why am I like this? And why am I like that? And what was the good and what was the bad? And, that's what human development was as something I studied. And I remember you talking about the runs that you would do in the morning sometimes. Mm-hmm. I can't remember what it was, but you'd have like a certain day of the week, or maybe a couple days a week, that you would do this intense run at like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. or something. Yep. And I remember thinking, oh man, this guy's gonna be trouble. Because I just knew that you were on track, doing the right shit. Mm-hmm. And a lot of, you had the championship mentality, and I saw it and knew it was coming, and so. Yeah,
and you sent your minions after me to try to take me out, bro. That's what you did. You're like, let's see if he can get through these guys real quick. And I'll see if he can get through them. All right, fuck it, I'll fight him.
Yeah, you did. You remember one of my favorite fights is you and Joseph Benavidez the first time.
Yep.
No one watches that fight. No, that's one of the great
He's
fights.
He's a very underrated fighter.
Bro, so underrated. And you guys were neck and neck in that fight. And I remember sitting with him afterwards in his room, and him just, crying and apologizing, and I was just like, bro, because I know how tough he was.
Yep.
He was one of my toughest guys in the room, because he was a little bit smaller, a little bit faster, but just as powerful.
He's a handful.
And this and that, and I was like, man, a lot of great moments. But that's cool to hear your background, dude, and what you've done with it all. I mean, honestly, like, much respect, and I'm excited for you on this next journey of things as an entrepreneur, as someone that's able to, fix the rights that fix the wrongs that you feel like are personal. And I mean, it's always, we all have our own issues, but it's gonna be a long journey.
I think the reason I tell you all that is not like for like a sob story or nothing like that. It's more like, this is where I was coming from.
Yeah, no, I get it,
when we
dude.
were fighting, and I didn't want to let go of it because I needed it.
Yeah,
I needed that fire and I needed the story that I made up about you too. Which is, like, I was mad that you had both parents. Yeah. And that you had, like, a leader to show you how to do business, how to spend money, how to, how to do things smart. And I was like, I wanted that so bad with my dad. And I never had it. And so I was like, that's why he doesn't understand. Yeah, kind of, whatever I wanted to make up. But another time that stands out to me is like, where I realized our mindsets were just totally different, was when we did that damn relay.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I was talked so about this quite a mad, bro. I was so fucking mad.
That was weird. You know what that was? It was a mishap in the UFC where they had hired someone new and didn't understand how the fight game works. And just for a little context, Dom and I are about to fight, I think for the second time, world championship, and we already don't like each other, and we've already like confrontational, and they put us in this environment as like going to meet the military, and I was
shocked to see you there, dude.
Yeah, and it turns into not only an appearance, but they put us through a crucible, which is like a bonding experience that the military go through, that are going to have to die together to pass the final level. And so we get like a 9-hour day of getting preached at by people yelling in our face and talking about their fallen brothers and sisters, and like we had to like for a day work together, think America, think about things beyond money and everything, about death and about, the history of our country and all this kind of stuff. And we had to like solve problems together and work together. And here we are about to fight on the largest stage.
It was so weird. It was so weird.
It was so bizarre.
It was bizarre. And the weirdest thing for me was seeing you there when I didn't expect to. And that dude Fuentes, remember his name is Fuentes. And
Yeah.
you know, the whole idea of this thing was to create a watered down version of the Crucible, which Faber said, which is like what the last stage that the Marines do in order to become a Marine. And it's the hardest thing, but you do a bunch of these weird stages, and they did like little chunks, but they filmed it. So this Fuentes Marine guy is on our asses, treating us like we're military.
Yeah.
And I remember like I'm competing against Faber the whole time. Like I'm not going to let him beat me at one thing. But if you win, I just got to wait for him.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't matter. Like no matter.
I actually had a hairline
Yeah, your
fracture in my
was
hand,
broken.
and I was trying not to
You
tell
were trying
anybody.
not to show me, and I was like, "Oh, his hand's broken." We're about to fight, and he's telling me his injuries without wanting to. He's like, "No, I'm good. I'm good."
We're supposed to do like a jousting thing, and I'm like, bro, I can't. My fucking hand's broken.
So random, but you know that dude Fuentes. Me and Phil Davis actually went to court for that dude because he got in trouble for slanging those videos on the side.
He texted me something,
And there was a whole court thing. We went in court, and I sat there, and me and Phil were like, because Phil Davis was with us.
yeah,
And he's like, "Hey, can you come and vouch for me or whatever?" Franklin.
Rich Franklin, yeah.
And we get there, and he's like, that we find out he's slanging these things out of his car.
What was What was it?
The videos of what we filmed.
Oh,
He got a bunch of his own copies of it and started selling it under the out of the back of his car like
funny.
you're selling rap albums. And he got caught for it. And he was like trying to show off that he was training UFC fighters.
Oh, that's
How
funny,
crazy
man.
is that?
That is
It's
funny.
so the main guy, the drill sergeant that was burning us, ended up trying to make money off those videos at the end of the day and going to court for it. That was
I
a weird
remember him
part of the
keeping in
story. I
touch
thought
here
you
and
might have
there.
known that.
No clue. I mean, he mentioned something about how he got fired, I think, at one point.
Yeah, that's what happened.
That's wild. Everyone's got their angle, huh? What do you make,
So
like 30
funny.
bucks?
Yeah, like what? Who knows?
That's crazy, man.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about too was this GFL league thing, bro. This is
Oh,
something
yeah.
we got to talk about because
Yeah.
you were getting ready to fight Henan Barao.
Yeah, that's right.
And this whole thing just got shut down overnight, right? But they
Yeah.
were offering crazy.
They're offering crazy
purses.
money, yeah. And I actually, without putting personal business out there too much, they're offering a ton of money. And I actually had the main guy and a guy I knew that used to run West Coast fighting championships come and to my house and kind of explain it. And I was just thinking, first off, this doesn't make much sense. I mean, parts of it made sense, but what he was offering and everything else didn't make sense. And the guy had an earnest idea, a bit delusional, which we've all been pretty delusional at times. Like that's why we are where we are.
Say I stay there.
Yeah, we got to stay there, and then just some pieces that weren't making sense. So I felt like this guy was a bit gullible, a bit delusional, which is okay. And and then my manager had seen his checking account with $30 million in it. So I was like, that's the only reason I agreed to it. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
okay,
All right.
so this guy's real and he can write these big checks. I also talked to Anthony Pettis and I think Paige Van Zandt, and they had been getting checks from him prior on pre-checks.
Yeah,
and
you
stuff, and I-
made sure there was some backing.
Yeah, and Pettis is the one that was like, bro, I'm going to tell you this GFL thing, and I looked at it, and so honestly, for me, I wouldn't have done it without the blessing of the UFC, just because I have a lot of gratitude for the UFC.
Yeah.
And so I sent a message out to Dana, and he was in Europe, and I sent another one out, and I said, hey man, I've been icing this guy, but I want to just let you know, like, this guy's offered me this amount of money to fight Barao, who's, a guy I'd like to get some wins back off, and he's,
Don't we all want to fight the guy we lost?
yeah, I
to,
want to fight the guy, and I was like, but I've put this guy on ice. I want to talk to you first. And my contract had already expired with the UFC. I've been gone for years. I know where I stand still as a competitor. I mean, I did some grappling matches last year against world-class guys.
You were still competing.
I'm still competing for fun. And I was like, 15 minutes for this amount of money. Like,
That's always
fuck,
how, yeah.
let's roll the dice. I got
It's
my
not
kids.
a title fight. Like,
yeah, it's
easy.
like, go get a vacation home in Hawaii with it for my kiddos, or something like that. I didn't need the money per se, but it'd be nice. And then the chinks in the armor just started showing up. It turned out the money in the bank was just a snapshot of money he had for briefly, and then he had to give it back and all this kind of stuff. And so I kind of, they had asked me to like do some things ahead of time to get my medicals and stuff. And I had already saw the writing on the wall, and I was like, told my management like, hey, don't get the medicals. This thing is going to fall apart. And it did fall apart, unfortunately. But supposedly the guy just put something back out. But for me, I was like, man, you got all these fighters doing stuff
So
in
many
retirement.
people got signed.
Yeah, I got signed, and only a few people got some real money out of it. And the idea and the concept was actually pretty good. I understand like the history of sports in general with like NBA, NFL, etc. And I'm actually learned a lot from my A1 Combat promotion, and I think there are some things that are valid about the thing. But for me, I always go back to the UFC as like somebody that I have gratitude for. And yes, like we just had the class action suit thing happen, and I'm gonna win on that deal, and and I was playing.
But they told us to collect it. That's the thing about the UFC too.
Yeah.
Like if you talk, just so people know, like if you talk to Dana or any of them, they're like, we're putting the money out. It's gone. So go collect it. They're not like, hey, you're a bad person if you collect it. They don't play that game. Like it's business for them. And so.
Yeah, and on that front, it's like there is some valid, I mean, I don't know. I haven't spent my time delving into that, and it's a valid arguments and whatnot, but it's also very difficult what the UFC did. They built a worldwide powerhouse, and without them having majority of the money at the time, it would not have happened.
Yeah.
There are some things that I think need to change, and the money's going to get better, and
Nothing's
those
perfect.
fighters, and so like I get the whole side of that, and I you know I was playing by the UFC's rules. I'm gonna just keep playing by the rules.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Same.
And focus forward front. But I appreciate the guys that went to battle for it, that pointed things out. I really appreciate the UFC, and I value those friendships and relationships. But on the point of the GFL saying, well, this is what's wrong with the UFC and everything else, I'm like, everything's separate for me.
Yeah.
It's like they run the way they're going to do it and have their success. And I feel like the owner of the GFL was kind of to that note. But for me, I have a lot of gratitude, and I feel like this sport is growing, and we're positioned the way we are because of black belts in business having the money. You know, that was it.
It's true.
I mean, and if you look at our first fight, and you said this one time, like your hair looked like Lloyd Christmas, and I looked like I just got out of the back of a van, like I was living van life. Like we didn't realize that people were going to be watching this, like millions of
I had
people
no
go back
idea.
and
I was wearing
and watch
pajama
these
pants
fights.
on the way out.
Yeah, it was like we're just used to like,
ridiculous.
you know, we didn't realize like, oh, this is on TV and going to go down as a historic bout, and there's going to be all this stuff. We're just like,
It shocked me.
yeah, rolled out of bed to go fight.
It literally
somebody,
shocked me.
you know.
That fight.
So,
having the camera in my face.
Yeah.
Blue Chew, it's the original brand offering chewable tablets for better sex. We all know we can all have better sex. Have you ever tried to tuck in a submarine? That's what you'll be dealing with if you eat one of these Blue Chews. Don't be scared. Just a little bit of blue balls. You might get that because you don't got the lady. But if you don't got the lady, don't eat the Blue Chew because you'll have a problem. You'll be walking around, you know, standing at attention. And you don't want too much attention, because if that happens, then you get the cops called on you. And that's the type of thing that you're looking for when you eat these Blue Chews, because either the cops are coming or you're having sex. Pay attention to your wee-wee. Guys, this isn't just about performance. It's about legacy, or third legacy. Give her group chat something to talk about. You know, when you lay it down, they're talking about how it gets up. Nothing makes you more of a legend than a little Blue Chew. Discover your options at bluechew.com. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. As always, get your first month of Blue Chew free. Just use promo code DOM. That's all caps, because I stay big. At checkout, and pay $5 for shipping. That's it. Join Blue Chew's mission to upgrade in humanity one thrust at a time. Head to bluechew.com for details and safety info. And big thanks to Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast, because, like I said, we stay big, we're going big, blasting off like a rocket ship. Okay, so Lucy is pure nicotine, 100%, and it's always tobacco free. Lucy Breakers are nicotine pouches with an extra surprise. Each pouch Holds a capsule that can be broken open to release extra flavor and hydration. This one is mango. That's the one I like. Set yourself up with his subscription and have Lucy delivered straight to your door. The reason why I like mango the best is obviously it's for hydration, and we know that I'm trying to be hydrated. Mango, right? I personally like to throw it in after a long wrestling session or after a hard workout because I'm completely depleted and it maximizes my high. I feel like I'm floating. Let's level up your nicotine routine with Lucy. Go to lucy.co/DOM. That's for Dom. All caps on that one. Use the promo code DOM to get 20% off your first order. Lucy has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. Again, that's lucy.co and use code DOM to get 20% off. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine, and nicotine is an addictive chemical. I want to touch a little bit on like more of like personal stuff for you though, because you know, business stuff.
Yeah,
we all
can
know,
do all day.
Yeah, we can do that all day. But you know, that's why I talked early about my personal stuff. I felt like I always kind of, when I was fighting you, I felt like I just didn't understand how you were wired the way you were wired. Like I was like, I'll never be able to sit down and just have a beer with this guy. He's fucking weird. Like,
I remember on our military thing, I had long ass hair and I had these like tweed like dress pants and like a hippie shirt, and you just looked at me and you said, "Man, you really are just like a happy hippie guy." It's crazy. You said that to me. I
still am learning. But you know, one of the thing is you were always, like on a positive note, you know, like where does your mindset of the positivity come, and how does that work with the war part of the sport that we did, you know? Cause like to me, it wasn't like, I can't be all, like I told you, I believed like, love is separate. I need to just kill you. This is a death match. Don't bring my girlfriend to the gym. Don't even look. I don't talk to my mom 2 weeks before the fight. I don't do anything loving before these wars because I feel like I'm going in to kill or be killed, and that's the mentality I want to instill in myself. And I feed my ego in that 2 weeks. I don't allow anything kind to come in because of what it takes for me to turn off the loving parts of me. It takes that. It takes me to want to kill you and to not like you. And these are things I believed I needed to tap into to activate the power inside me to win at the highest level. And it worked for me until it didn't, right? And then when it didn't, I remember having to come to a crossroads on this belief systems and start learning about something that had more frequency than fear, which was love. And that's never ending. That goes forever.
It's true.
And as cheesy as it sounds, like fear has a cap to it. You can get really far. I have a really good relationship with fear. And fear, I feel like they're dichotomies. Fear or love. You're coming from one or the other. You're not. For me, I was using fear to fuel me of not being enough, of making sure that we made it, making sure that, you know, and it really worked until it didn't, right? Until I lose that fight. And then when I lose that fight, it's like, man, I got to rewrite this story that I'm making up. It's not working anymore. But you seemed to always be able to kind of balance the two a lot different than me, and that always kind of threw me off. And one of the events I was talking about is you were in an abundance mindset is the best way I can put it. And one of the things you said, and this was actually the event I was referring to myself, was when we did the tough we were shooting the guns and we were doing a relay. And I went double down on fuck this, I'm not sharing anything with that idiot. And
you should tell that though what I proposed.
You know, you offered to share it. Like fuck it, let's create a win-win here. You give me some, and then we both get something at the end of it. And I was like, no,
no matter
all or
who,
nothing.
let's try to win, but no matter who wins, let's just split it.
And I was so.
You said yes first,
and then I thought about it.
At the last minute, you said fuck that, no, deals off. I'm like, deals off.
I was because I was just like, I can't share anything with this idiot. Like, fuck this dude. It's like, fuck this dude. I was so mad. I was like, I'm gonna win anyways. It doesn't.
My hand was broken then too, just barely though.
But in my head, I'm thinking, you're only doing that because you don't think you can win.
Yeah, I had a little broken hand.
Yeah. So, and I knew that, but
but that wasn't why.
I am getting to. But in my head, if I gave into that,
Yeah.
I'm telling you what my head was like. If you give into that, then
that's already a loss.
Yeah, it's already a loss. And it's like, really, it's just, let's just create a win. You're just, and it's a different, that's what I'm saying. It's a different mentality. And even that, in that moment, I remember thinking when it was all done, like, man, like, why would he do that? And I wouldn't. Like, why would he be open to doing that? And I went, and there were little times where I would look and you were just always, happy go lucky. And I'd be like, where can I learn from that? Like, there's a way I got to take what he's doing and add it to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And make and transform with it. I can't just dislike and hate this person. Like, you're part of my story, whether I like it or not. And there were many opportunities for me to think about that in our rematches over that many years. Yeah. And when you're I'll never forget fighting Charlie Valencia, then Joseph Benavidez, then Ian McCall. Brian Bowles trained with you.
Yeah.
Like, you literally personally.
Ian McCall never trained with us, but yeah.
Okay, I thought he told me he had cross-trained with you guys a little bit.
Yeah, but pretty much everyone else. Did you ever fight Scotty Jorgensen too?
Scott Jorgensen.
Yeah, Scotty Jorgensen.
One of those guys you trained with.
Bowles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody. Well, I had like an open door at my gym. Like, you guys want to come train? Come on over, And you were like the one who's like, no, fuck that guy. I'm the enemy.
I always just thought, like, why join him if you can beat him?
Yeah, exactly.
Keep throwing him at me. You know what I mean? I like looked forward to that, and it was quite a challenge to look at it that way. But now you're, like I said, you were always balancing.
Yeah.
What gave you the mentality now you're listening to my mentality?
Yeah.
Where do you think it was where we saw things really differently? Where do you think that comes from?
I think that's a great question, and you're 100% right. And I remember my high school girlfriend, I was in a 10-year relationship. Like, when we fought the first time, I was still in that relationship with my high school sweetheart and everything else. I remember she gave me this quote. And she goes, this quote, she wrote it on a piece of paper. And she was like, this quote reminds me of you. And she's like, the question is asked whether it's better to be loved or to be feared. And it said, the answer, of course, would be both. It's great to be loved and feared. But if you had to choose one, you have to choose feared, because it's enforced by pain, and pain is always there, and love is flighting. And I remember that quote, and I was like,
wow,
that does
kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting that she saw that in me. And I remember looking at that and resonating with it and everything. And I have been a guy that's been both loved and feared. The other thing is, I come from, my grandparents, the Faber family, really, really good people. Like, my grandfather worked in the church his whole life. My grandmother, like, they would go to church all like they're, almost every day of the week. My grandfather was a music professor. He played the organ, trained in Holland, went to, Kentucky at Asbury College and was a professor there. And he was at Citrus College or Asbury College or one of these Christian schools in California at some point. And they were during the Holocaust, they were the nations of the righteous. They hid Jewish families in their attics and risked their lives to shelter family, even though they could have died because of it. And my grandmother went and they celebrated her and put her name on a wall in Holland, and for being nations of the righteous. My grandfather told me a story before he passed where he said that he had this Jewish family hiding in the attic, and he said that the soldiers would come in and they searched everybody's rooms or everybody's houses, and they would go in and they'd shoot in the attic and they'd look in the attic and everything else. And if they found somebody, they would kill the family and they would kill the people housing him. So a soldier came into my grandfather's house and basically said, hey, just so you guys know, I'm not with this movement. I'm just a soldier here. I'm just going to stay in here for 10 minutes and I'm going to get out, blah, blah, blah. And my grandfather, remembers that moment, and the guy left. And when he came back outside to see his neighborhood, all his neighbors had been killed. So it was like a super powerful thing.
Wow.
And so I think I come from
and that's a story that your family tells.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Yeah.
Kind of like molded you in your decision making.
100%. And it's like, that's one thing.
How did that mold you for how you did life?
Hearing
that story
it's just
young.
Compassion for other people, risking for bigger picture things, not about material stuff. You know, I remember my grandparents weren't wealthy. They lived in Kentucky and lived a pretty humble life. And my father, my dad, I call him Pop, is like, he's like happy-go-lucky dude. Like he's not like the guy that like drove me to do anything other than being super happy and supportive and passionate about me as an individual. And I remember a couple moments where, like I always say, my dad's like a dog. Like you could leave him outside for, 4 days in the rain, forget to feed him, and he's all excited to see you when he's like that's my dad.
All right, that makes sense why I resisted you so much.
Yeah, and that
that was the complete opposite of me.
Yeah. No, my dad is like,
I'm pissed outside.
Yeah, and I'm
gonna break your fucking door down because you left me outside.
My mom was, she came from a little rougher background and was really kind of more like you, where she was like dead set on changing the pattern and being forward thinking about how to create these amazing kids that had it all and that kind of stuff. So I think the combination of both of those
probably what attracted her to your dad.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was super stability.
It's like
and
dichotomy of it.
100%. Yeah. Because my mom was, back in the day, she was smoking hot. And my dad was, my height and just a big smile on his face and everything else, and probably punching out of his weight class if you look at from a standpoint of just appearances. But he was stability, happiness, constant positivity, and she was, probably drawn to that. So I had that like that dichotomy in the house where it was basically, two different types of things. And when they separated, it was not like, there was a bit of turmoil at the very beginning. Like my dad was heartbroken and it was like things were kind of rough, but the parents were fighting for our time and our attention. It wasn't like you take them to the Senate. It was like, and they were competitive.
You still got them both kind of.
Yeah, totally had
together
them both together. And they didn't get along great, but they worked together well. It was a 50-50 situation. And so that's why for parents watching this, just the support and love. And for some people it's grandparents. I know you had other people, some people it's coaches, some people it's teachers, where you get what you need that you can, take and run with. And so I feel like I had that as a base. And I really learned some lessons, especially after studying in college, about how to perceive things. Like perception is so important. And I had a year in college where I lost every match by 1 point or overtime. And I had like a 50-50 wrestling season. And I remember being upset after the loss. Even if I feel like I got ripped off, I feel like I really, won the match, but it got screwed or whatever, it would still bother me that I lost despite my effort and energy I put in. And then the next year I won the same amount of matches by 1 point or overtime. And I felt, even if I knew I lost, but I got a call in my direction, I still felt better the whole week because somebody said I won. Yeah. And I remember looking at that and being like, wow, that doesn't make sense.
What's this about? Yeah.
Yeah. Like I put in the same effort, the same belief in everything. And I got one result, and sometimes out of my control, and it affected me for a whole week. And so I was able to be introspective in those kind of scenarios and go back to, like, I still had, no matter what loss, I still had my girlfriend that I was in a relationship with 10 years. I had my best friends that were not going anywhere. I had my dad that was excited no matter what. And so that unconditional love was like paramount for me in sculpting who I am. And that's what I'm doing for my parents. I'm for my kids. I'm like AI for my kids. Like if I feel like they give me a little hint on something, I double down. Like my dad's like, hey, my son's like, hey, we going, Dad, are you going to your house and have yummy food? He said that when he's like 3.5. And I was like, he associates me with great food. So I'm like, you see me in the morning, I'm like Chef Boyardee. I got like 4-course meals, and
part.
I'm like,
you just listen up and pay attention.
Listen up, and I'm like, I'm making sure these kids have the best of everything. And my parents really did that for me before money, before anything else. I know that I was first, which is powerful.
Yeah. And so that being said, that's all the stuff that worked.
Yes.
What's the stuff that didn't work that you think God, I mean, not everybody can go in and do what we do and fight somebody the way it's real, like, dangerous shit.
Yeah.
And like, you can't just tap into the rainbows and the fucking butterflies all the
Yeah.
time. Like, what's the other side for you? What drives the war side of your life?
Yeah. You know, I
'Cause
obviously
it can't just happen on its own.
No.
There's something inside of you that's dark, bro, that lets that out.
Yeah. Well, I think it's how you case things also. Like I think it really comes from and try to think of this because I know you have the same thing and maybe you're tapping into it, maybe you're not. But like when I would go to battle, I would always say in my head, I'm Nick Diaz. I'm cussing this person out, calling him a fucking pussy. Like this guy's, I take it as a personal insult that this person thinks that he's going to beat my ass, take my money, get my fame.
Yeah,
like I'm, it's like it's like an internal pride thing. And I think some of that's internal, like genetically you have this thing that makes you want to succeed. And then some of it is learned probably. Like I was in a scenario where I had some things in my favor. Like I had loving parents, I had some athletic ability, I had, good genetics, I had that kind of stuff that, and I learned to, my mom like pumping me up, like, you're the man. Oh, they don't like you. Well, they probably jealous, like they don't like you. They making funny. Well, they're just jealous. That was like the big thing in my house. They're just jealous. Yeah, they're jealous. So I
love it. All right.
And I think there's like this.
It's just good programming.
Yeah, good programming.
Healthy programming.
And it was like.
And you built your ego.
Yeah, it built your ego and you said something to me one time that I love because I use it all the time in my talks to the guys and to other people. Is you said, bro, you have an excuse for everything. Like you got a fucking excuse for everything, which is great.
I hated that,
bro. And
like, tell the truth.
Yeah,
like, stop.
But in my mind, I had to make excuses that are fixable.
Yeah,
there are
makes sense when
there
you
are
look
terrible excuses, and I read about this also. Like the most successful people have fixable excuses, and you did the same thing. Like you had a reason why you lost to me the first time. It was because you didn't have your coach yet, or it was because
we all got it.
Whatever, you have these excuses.
That's the mirror you were.
They're fixable excuses are the best fucking excuses. There's some terrible excuses, the ones you can't fix. Like, oh well, he got the gifts. He's. Whatever.
Yep.
Oh, he's so lucky. Like people, I had so many title fights. You're like, oh, he just because he's good looking, or because he's got this, or
everything. I want to tap into what you're saying right there, the excuses thing, and that's where I kind of had a turn in my career too. Is when I went the other way. Yeah, I learned that I could have the most power in my life when I took 100% responsibility for everything I created and had in my life. And so it's not a fact. It was a choice to come from 100% responsibility. Yeah. And that was like, okay, how did you create this, Dom? You want to make more money, and you're not a victim of this dude. Like in what he does. Like you created this. How did you create this outcome? How did you create these relationships? How did you create the lack of relationships? How have you created these injuries? Yeah. How have you created all the things that are around you rather than this is the excuse and I'm a victim of the excuse? Yeah. My brain went to the only way I'm going to shift it is if I can take responsibility for it and then do something with it. Yeah. And that shifted for me at a certain point. But I never understood the excuses. Yeah. But I hear your perspective. I can't remember what they were, but it was. But that's where I'm saying, like, I couldn't understand, like, and so it's nice to have the talk to see how, Wayne Dyer said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Yeah. It's the framework, and you're talking about framework. You had your framework that worked for you, and their methods to get through the suffering of life at the end of the day. And you used your methods, and I used mine. I just could never quite get a beat. Yeah, how your methods worked for you, and we were doing shit at a similar level. Yeah, because it was complete opposite. Big shout out to Originals Family Farms. They are my launch sponsor. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. Thank you for being my family. I love you guys so much. Originals to the top.
Yeah, it was, and 100%. And I mean, I think, looking at, all the different things that were happening at the time and everything else, it's like, you have to have these things that are fixable. And that's why I think you're an awesome, commentator and somebody that can dissect the sport is because you have, and this is why you'd be an amazing coach if you ever decide to go down that route. And this is why I feel like I'm a good coach and a good mentor for guys, is because there's something called conscious competence, and it's, being really good at something and knowing why you're good at it. That's the greatest coaches, and those are the greatest commentators and analysts, because why you're great.
Yeah.
And you can pinpoint for you especially, and you can pinpoint why other people are great, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. And for both of us, it was opposite ways of thinking, but it was the way of thinking.
Yeah, it was just a method.
There's
just
no
a right or
method.
wrong way to do it.
Right.
That's what's so interesting about this sport to me. People would tell me I was wrong for things all the time.
Yeah, but the things are fixable if you understand your method, and if you have a process, and if you figure out what works for you, and then you can also recognize that people are different. And that's what I feel like I've done for a long time on our team, which has made our team one of the longest lasting teams out there.
Yeah.
It's been a rough road, it's ups and downs and everything else, but it's understanding individualities. And my kids are in a school right now that is an entrepreneur-based school that's about individualism and everything else, and understanding like, how do I tap into this? And when I have guys on my team, I do this kind of thing. Like if you were on my team, I would have already known your history of your dad. I would have known the history of your mom. Like that's the most important shit.
Yep, it is.
And it's like, and then you can really tap into like, I know all about song stuff, and I know about TJ's stuff, and I know, TJ lived on a compound with his family, and I know Cody Garbrandt's story and his story of.
Well, he's been with you since what? Like you were training him since he was like 12 while you were fighting me, right? Like
who?
Cody.
No.
Like how old was he when you were training?
No.
With him?
He came over, bro. It's not my story to tell on how he came over, and he's an open book, but he's got a very interesting
I'd love
story.
to have him too.
Yeah, he would love to be on here.
We'll
Cody's actually a really good person, man. He is really,
no doubt.
And
I think all you guys
interesting.
are. We just think different.
Yeah. And I'd like to have TJ on here too.
I've already reached out to him. I plan on having every one of the guys that I fought.
Yeah.
Like
that's
one
great.
of you guys, if I like the whole squad that was after me, because I just want to know your guys' perspective too. Of me, because I mean, TJ,
I got a kick out of you, man.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy. I felt the same.
I can piss you off,
but I felt like I wasn't as mad about you later.
Yeah.
Once I won, it was more just like I enjoy the competition.
Yeah,
like I enjoyed fighting you guys.
I will say you're more competitive than I am.
Yeah. Well,
in my heart, in my.
I don't know about that. I just feel like it's a different come from.
It's a different.
That's what I'm saying is a different come from. And what I heard you say that's similar is your mom growing up in the church, being raised in that mindset. Your mom had a little bit more of like, I want to change the family dynamic. I want to change the habits and I want everything to be different. And that's what led her to your dad.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound like a sob story with my family, because my mom was that. My mom was like, I'm changing this. My mom did that for me, similar to your mom. My mom raised me in the church.
Yeah, I know your mom. I love your mom.
My mom raised me in the church. So I was in church 3 times a week from 5 years old until I was 20 years old, and got thrown out when I shouldn't have been, right? But
you got kicked out of the house at 20, man. I was 19. Rough.
I was 19. Get off my back, bro. Hey, so, but during that time, like I got raised under the same stuff. My mom put a lot of really strong, treat people good, like do right by people. And one thing that I really attest to for my mom that made me powerful was she never bashed my dad one time.
Oh, that's awesome.
And no matter when my dad would come up, like literally on meth, coming up to our trailer. Well, my mom never paid 1 penny of child support. My mom would say, just love your dad. He's, he's doing his best, and he'll get back on track. And no matter what, she never bashed my dad one time. And he never did anything for my mom. Yeah. And I'm not trying to, like, he did his own things.
She gave him 2 awesome kids, and that was about it.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Or maybe more.
Definitely more me and my mom, but he's got other kids too that are my half siblings. And I love my dad because of what he taught me in those things. Like he turned me into a tough dude with the way that he raised me. And I would see him every other weekend in these halfway houses, and you get discount on rent when you stay sober in these sober livings. And I grew up in these sober living houses with my dad every other weekend, and then he would leave and then come back. And so these are things that when I listen to you and how you were raised, like that's where our moms were similar, but our dads were different.
Yeah.
And that fueled me in a certain way, though, you know? So I'm grateful for my dad and everything he was. I wouldn't change a thing. And I think it's interesting that you tap into your squad like that to ask them those things.
You
know?
got it, man.
Yeah, because Eric Del Fiero and me always do that with each other too. We always got real tight, and now he's doing that with the athletes he works with now. And there's a lot of similarities in the things we do, as much as different as we are. Yeah,
it's a trip, man. Yeah, and I absolutely, and it's funny because the church stuff was very early in my life, but I feel like that resonated. Like I wasn't like
still resonates with me to this day.
I wasn't super like religious growing up. After that, my dad is like, you know, he would be the guy that had his own way of worshiping his Christian faith, and my mom was kind of not so much in that direction, but he would, you know, put on songs and he'd sing loud in the car and he'd praise Jesus for everything and that kind of stuff. And my mom wasn't as much in that, but my mom, like on her license plate when we were in elementary school, she had like an old Mercedes. It was like an old beat up, like 1965 Mercedes that kind of looked cool, but it was a cheap car, you know, and
sounds like you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, in a bunch of different ways, but her license plate said abundance. I know you said that earlier.
Yeah.
Her license plate said abundance.
You just had I couldn't come from that. I've thrived in scarcity.
Yeah.
I really did,
Yeah.
looking back. And I learned about an abundance mindset as I matured and got older and started searching ways to make my life less painful for myself and different frameworks of mindset. And so I always noticed that about you. You always had you always looked on the bright side. Mm-hmm. You always had, you know, it's fine.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, fuck you, bro. It's not fine. I'm going to beat your fucking ass, dude.
I remember you saying I remember all sorts of little comments that popped into my head because we had to spend a lot of
I just couldn't understand it. It's I just didn't know what I needed. I had to go through certain things, you know, and you have to. So I can always appreciate looking back at those. You always racked my brain like, you gotta think, because I wasn't just like resistant of it. I would take it in what you would say.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, this is working for him. So what was he doing? You know, I can take these things that are making him successful and add them to myself. Not only I'm beating him now is what I thought. So if I can just also add what's working for him, maybe I could double up. And that was always a mentality. So I was grateful to that. You know, the times we had in those little moments where you would share, but I always felt like you had a back pocket agenda. So I always felt like you were going to use that against me at the next talk.
Yeah, I remember you saying that to me too.
Yeah, so I was like,
you're like, he's using this against me. And I'm like,
I'm not talking to you no more.
And I think you also said one time that like, because we had got along really well for like 2 days or 3 days when we had to work together in that environment. And then went back to like being kind of haters on each other, and you're like, he isn't all that he seems. And I think that's what you're talking about. Like, we're kind of buddies now, and now he's talking shit again. But like, we just went right back to
we had
to do that because we were going to try to kill each other.
It's real.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, it was real. We were literally. We're really going to try to kill each other. I'm going to try to knock you out, choke you out.
No, it's really real. Like I try to tell this to people. Like, it's real.
Yeah.
And like people go, oh no, it's set up. Okay. There's a tiny piece of it, I'll say here and there, where you're like, okay, you're kind of putting on for the fans, right? But what people need to know at home is at the end of the day, we are going to try to kill each other. Yeah. So we are not playing. Even if there's a little bit of a like, you know, ha ha ha, like, you can't, because I'm really going to, like, I'm going to keep hitting you if the ref's not there. Yeah. That's just the way it's going to be for me.
I remember another funny moment that's like one of my regrets in the sport that stands out to me, and it's kind of a joke, but we were at the press conference after you beat me the second fight, and you remember Bieber was sitting he was a little kid at the time, sitting right next to us.
I do remember that, actually. I remember seeing him, and that was a moment of time. Yes, I remember that too.
Like staring at us.
I was like, what the hell? That's Justin Bieber. I had the same thought.
Yeah. Because we were right there, and he was just a little kid at the time.
It was weird.
But anyways, at the press conference.
And you're in the middle of war. And I thought the same. I'm like, fucking Justin Bieber's here. This shit's crazy.
Yeah. And we're at the press conference afterwards, and you won, and I thought that I won. I mean, it wasn't like a rip-off or anything. I could see how they'd say you won, but I felt like I had done more damage, and this, I have my, my delusional shit, and so one guy's like, I don't know if you remember this or not. He says, I got a question for Urijah. He goes, now that Dominick beat you, is he the new alpha male or something like that? And I just said, I said, I'm going to have to go back and watch the fight and get back to you on that one. And then I thought later what I should have said to him, and that bugs me. I should have said, the one thing we can all be sure of is you're not the alpha male in this room.
Oh yeah. Oh, that would have been nice. It would have shut the whole thing down.
that was one of my regrets.
Man.
Other than that, everything has been no regrets. Not even one letter.
I want to close with the last subject, because I wish you would have said that, because
That is
fans
funny.
need to know.
Yeah,
sometimes like when they come at us like
Yeah,
that.
you're
but I
talking
get
to
you.
the Warriors
But
here.
it's funny. It's funny.
Don't mouth off.
Thanks for having my back, though, fan.
Yeah.
But your kids, it's a
yeah.
different stage. No, you didn't do any of that in sport, bro. You didn't.
40 years.
You never had, like, I never really saw you with one solid relationship around a lot. Like, you might have had it, but you didn't keep them around. You didn't put them in limelight. You didn't put them in the camera. And the kids were non-existent. And then two things. You had the fight at 40. You knocked out Ricky Simone. Incredible. Incredible. That dude's a stud, and you knocked him out fast. First question is, what the hell made you go back for the second one when you could have been done at 40? That was it. It was supposed to come back for one.
You're going to like the
be
answer
done,
to this,
and then you came back. And then the second thing is with the life with the kids. I want to end on you talking about your kids and what you love most about being a dad and being with the people you love now and in your own world.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was going to, before we got off, ask you a question, and maybe you could say it before I go, is, do you want to have kids?
I do, yeah, I do. I just think that
you're going to be an awesome dad.
I believe that kids should come through you, not for you.
Yeah.
And I want the relationship to work with the person that I'm with 100%, so that I don't have the kids to make me happy.
Yeah.
I want to be happy and full in myself, so that I can give that to the kids, because that's what I didn't get.
Yeah.
And that's really important to me. So I'm trying to fill myself up with the love first before I try to give it away.
Yeah, good for you, man. That's awesome. So to answer your first question, now, first off, as much as people, I'm a passion guy, and I go with my heart and my feeling. And the reason why I retired, and I don't know if you can or can't relate to this, was initially, it wasn't because I had so much money in the bank. I was never, we never made oogles.
I made 3 and 3 to fight you, by the way.
Yeah.
3,000 and 3,000, which means I got 3,000.
Yeah.
I got $3,000 to fight you.
Yeah, you
on
lost
WEC.
money on that fight.
I lost a lot of money.
Yeah, and I was probably at like 12 and 12 or something like that. Or less, maybe 7 and 7. But, for me, the reason why I did things, the reason why I started fighting in the first place in 2003, where it was illegal at the time, there was no one in our weight class, all this stuff. And I know you were at my fight in Arizona against, I think, Charlie Valencia back in the day.
I was. And I remember watching you thinking, I'm gonna fight this dude. I could see it.
I love that. But the reason why I retired is I was having trouble getting excited for the fighting. And so I didn't really care what other people think. I also had lost my 2 fights in a row that were kind of lackluster fights. I think it was 1 to, I always forget his name. He's going to get pissed. Jimmy Rivera.
Oh, yeah.
And then, which was like, I wasn't really excited to fight him. I knew I was going to retire next anyways. And so I had 2 lackluster, like, decision losses, in my opinion. That I think one was to you, where I didn't fight like how I wanted to, and you kind of outclassed me. And then, then to Ricky's, Jimmy Rivera. And then I had started chasing, like, trying to get excited for stuff, because that's why I fought in the first place. It wasn't because of the money. I got $200 my first fight.
Yep.
So
that was the same. We were the same way.
You were the same way.
Because you enjoy it.
Because you enjoy it. Then you get your check. I'm like, oh yeah. And so I went up in weight class to fight Frankie, because I thought that would be exciting. I got another title shot with you. I thought that would be exciting. And I was having trouble getting excited for it. And I had a lot of other stuff that I was juggling with business and everything else. So that's why I retired. And the same reason why I came out of retirement was because it sounded exciting to me. For whatever reason, I got like I want to fight. And I'd always, when I retired the first time, I was like, I'm going to surf and do gi jujitsu. Like, that's what I was going to do, because I'm not very good at surfing and I'm not good at the gi and jujitsu. And I was going to do that as like a retirement thing. But I just found myself after a week in the habit of getting right back in the gym.
You're just training anyways.
I'm just showing up at the gym like, all right, that was a week off, and like,
yeah, it's weird.
Here I am, like you don't get out of it. And I was like, okay. So I did that for a couple of years and had no intent to come back, and then it sounded like fun, and I was like, well, the only reason I wouldn't come out of retirement is because I already retired. but it sounds like fun. And I had this baby and everything else. And honestly, the first fight against Ricky Simone was just because I wanted to get back. And the fight against Peter Yan, I still had that. When I first met Peter Yan, I cornered against him with Taruto in Singapore. When I first met him, he was a fan of mine. He goes, oh my gosh, hey, I was going to come train with you and I've been a fan of blah, blah. Can we take a picture? And when I met him, I had a moment of, I wanted to, like, it was an alpha thing, like I was like, I want to fight this guy. He had an energy that made me want to fight him. It was a gaming thing. Like,
it's like an anime. It sounds like
it's an animal thing.
No, like an anime, like that's how they talk about the like in the cartoons. I watch that shit.
Oh, I don't know
like,
any of that stuff.
They just like you're pulled into the fight by the person.
Yeah, I was like, this guy is dangerous. It gets me excited. And so I actually wanted that fight.
You wanted to challenge yourself against somebody that looked and seemed like that.
Yeah, I was like, bro, this guy's
he's a killer.
He had a good killer energy,
like
and I was like, I want to test. Like that was still in me. And so I was excited for that fight. And I also got to use that to negotiate more money. I was like, and I had a big falling out with Sean Shelby for a short period of time because of that.
Shelby loves you now, by the way.
Yeah, I love Shelby too, man. I love
totally.
that guy.
He's like, I love him now, but he was pissed.
Yeah, he was pissed, and it was a big public thing. But anyways, so the first one was I just felt like I wanted to, and the second one was I had this internal human itch to think. I knew it was going to be tough, but I thought I could beat him. And I thought I was doing really well until I relaxed for a second and I smiled at him. And I thought this guy's too fucking slow is what I thought. Even at 40, I felt like I was faster and I was being elusive. I was playing smart, like more running and pop shotting and that kind of stuff. And then he caught me with some power and put me away. But I enjoyed the whole thing. And I could have been more of try to win, but I wanted to fight and I wanted to test myself.
You did.
And I loved it. I enjoyed it. I was all bloodied up and I was having the time of my life. And so it was just to live a little. And then COVID happened. I maybe would have done one more, but I was only doing it for that. And I wasn't going to fight in a quiet room quietly.
That was a weird time.
Yeah, it was a weird time. And so I was like, I was there for the walkout and looking around and seeing the fans and the battle of it. So I just did those two and had a great time, and I had no qualms stopping again, and it wasn't like an official thing. And then the last thing is my kids, man. I'm going to tell you.
How's life the most different where do you think you could have done this at the same time as fighting? What if you did this earlier?
The answer is absolutely yes, because of how important it is to me. But I'm glad the way I did it the way I did. And I always had an overarching set of small goals, middle level goals, and long-term goals until I got with a sports psychologist that told me just to narrow things down and not be so much, this and
so
this.
Box it up so much.
Yeah, just I had all these things, but from forever it was always have beautiful, healthy kids and be an amazing dad. And I wrote down that I wanted to be able to spend all my time with my kids. So that was always a long-term goal with me, but my career went on so long that I never was able to focus on that. So when I became a father, the one thing that changed was I was prepared to do the work. I was prepared to be I'm putting my all into these kids and this is what my focus is going to be.
Like a belt.
This is my championship thing, and that was going to be my focus. And the one thing that was strange that you'll may or may not feel, because I don't know if everybody feels it, was it wasn't hard work. Similar to when I first started with my fight game, it wasn't hard work. It was I'm willing to do this and I'm willing to do that, and everything just felt like I want to do it. It wasn't work. And I felt like people were like, what's the difference between before and after? And I honestly can't remember the before. It's just been the after is what I resonate. I feel like they're kind of always there, which is weird, but dude, it's been awesome.
It sounds like it's so much love when they come out that it just makes everything work exactly the way it's supposed to, because it's just nothing but love.
Yeah. And it's a different kind of,
the fear didn't sound like it activated for you.
No. And the funny thing is, I was never, and I attribute this to maybe a little bit of genetics, but mostly that unconditional love and support, that I've never was really scared of anything. People are like, what scares you? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a scared type, I never got scared about anything. But you can I can understand and have fear with kids now. You're scared of things with them.
Yeah. Keeping them alive, and you can't control
keeping them
them.
alive and this and that.
They can do whatever they want.
Yeah, they could bring me to tears. They could get me frightened. Like I feel fear now, so
That's
I feel something that I've never felt before, which is crazy.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What's that like dealing with that?
It can be helpless at times because, you know, there's already been like personally, there's been some battles, you know, and you know, there's been all these different stuff, but seeing the result of being a great dad, like, you know, you saw the result of your mom being an awesome mom, and you saw the result of your dad not being there. Like seeing the results of where my kids are at right now is really exciting for me. Like they are like I get compliments all the time, and like I'm just making people I want to hang out with. You know, that's it. Like I just people are like, I can't handle
how you simplify it.
It's like, I'm just making people that I want to hang out with.
That's awesome. That's a great perspective. Oh,
So
we should
that's
definitely
pretty
close
cool.
on that. What a fucking honor to get to be here again and still do this.
Yeah.
Still in the sport,
Yeah.
both of us. And
You gonna come watch the fights tonight, A1 Combat?
We'll come check out your event tonight. I'll be
Okay.
there with you.
Yeah.
And, good. Congrats on that too. You're killing
Thanks,
it.
brother.
Getting back to the sport with your event.
Yeah, and then this is a robot. I don't know if you're still rolling jits if you want one, but I'll get you one of these things. That's my grappling dummy.
Okay.
You could choke it. You can dislocate the limbs.
Yeah, I think I've seen you promoting it.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll like it.
Let's do it.
We're doing a kids version here. We're about to launch a kids version, so pretty sick.
To choke out kids.
So kids can choke it out.
So you can learn how to choke out kids. That's what you're trying to teach people.
Here he goes, man.
Come on, bro.